In 1965, the circus of evil has collapsed. But on the way there, the Freedom Pact almost lost all European lands. These ups and downs are due to Italy's insistence to keep throwing men and more men at the front like shields. While Jews and Catholics are now safe again, the war on propaganda has begun, and so has the denazification and defascistification has started. The Freedom Pact now leads the world. Now they can reestablish of the world order will begin. Welcome to today's video. Grab a snack and enjoy. We are heading to 5,000 subscribers, and we'll have a special subscriber special when we get there. So let's get into it. And while the Freedom Pact launches its first assault, with them kicking the Italians out, and thus after it, they move into more lands on multiple fronts. One front starts from Denmark, which is the biggest attack, and it starts spreading into the German puppets, such as Germany, Hanover, and Prussia, Brandenburg. And the Poles on the other front launch an attack. And well, they launch an attack here too. And well, 1 second. This shouldn't be there. Don't know why it's there. Must be a glitch, maybe. That's what we'll say, but probably could have been not. But meanwhile, Bulgaria does something, and they do something quite interesting. Yeah, you'll have to wait and see what they've done. But as the northern front starts moving in, and well, they move into Czechia and Slovakia, and into Silesia. And from here, they move in. And then, in Africa, a front breaks out just north of the Cape, with them landing here and moving down to Cape Town. With them getting to the coast and then moving in towards Cape Town as they move to the Cape of Good Hope. If that's the name of it. Maybe I'm wrong. But they take this much land. And you might say, oh, that's pathetic. It's not really, but I guess you might want to see something. You want to see what happens to this front? You want to? You ready? I know y'all don't want to see this. It's not good. With a quick collapse of the Ukrainian fronts, thus capturing major cities and connecting the front, even taking Kiev. From this front, they move in to take Moscow. This two-front attack is a big success, with them launching their counter-offensive on the other front. And well, this isn't good. No, it's not. And y'all know it. As the Eastern Front has collapsed because it was surrounded by the Second Eastern Front. What does this front do? Nothing right yet. But as Italy has done that, the light begins to open, but the darkness slams back. Like a fist fight, Italy closes the front. Now Italy has the north and south attacks. The propaganda sends strong men to fall like cattle. With 15 million troops by the Freedom Pact rapidly increasing, while Italy at 25 million troops, the full alliance about 40 million troops, but their troop numbers are steadily going down. The dominant power fell to its own lies, or does it? And well, let's go to India to see what these states have to do. Bangladesh, Kerala, Kazakhstan, and Pakistan. Let's see what they need to do. They launch an attack. It goes pretty well at first, pretty far, with the Pakistan puppet falling and Karachi falling into their hands. And then they move into Iran. They get almost to the entrance to the strait before they get stopped in a stalemate. And well, the stalemate begins in the Middle East. But new fronts have opened against evil. But can it stand? The stalemates in Asia show how the Italian alliance as the last time people were killed. But Bulgaria's planning a rebellion as the last time 500,000 people were killed. Will they succeed? Italian attack on the Nordics. Let's go to the Nordics and see how bad it is. Well, I can just tell you 50 curse words about what's about to happen, but I won't because, well, it doesn't look good. It actually does. It looks great. But as Denmark is slammed so hard, they are knocked to the ground and cleanly knocked out. Now in the Finland, what happens? Oh, a hockey fight breaks out. Yes, a hockey fight. Definitely not being a stereotype. Helsinki is destroyed, broken up, ripped apart, and it loses like 15-0. Is that even possible in hockey? I don't know. I don't play hockey. And then Sweden. Yeah. A creeper shows up and blows that up out of Stockholm. Yeah, Stockholm gets blown up like one of my bases by a stupid creeper in Minecraft. I'm going to destroy that creeper. And now let's go to Norway. Well, they just collapse. They're like a party at a bar. They just get a little too drunk and they fall to the ground. That's not really the best example, but I don't care. Maybe I'm the Italians. Well, this is bad. Stupid Italy. Also, I'm allowed to be mean to Italy because I'm not able to walk. Also, you should all be mean to Italy, honestly. But, oh no, 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 oh no. As Cornwall is invaded by the Italians and the French puppet, but basically they're being forced to be Italians. As they move in from Cornwall, quickly taking London, and the UK is knocked off its feet. As it's pushed up, Wales falls. As they don't manage to get into these cities, they get stuck. And why is that important? Europe is on the brink of collapse. Freedom Pact troops are rushing in. The Fortress of Darkness and Despair is murdering troops, civilians, rebels, Catholics, Jews at record rates. The Freedom Pact expects numbers close to 40 million as carbon levels have dropped. Yet a lot of bodies are burnt. Slaves fall in fields due to severe malnutrition. Rebellions have big consequences, such as loss of toes of women for rebelling against the state. And yes, women are being forced to make the perfect race. No one has bodily autonomy for the state to choose what does what with you. You can't do anything unless the state lets you. You are stuck in a 50-kilometer radius. If you go outside of it, you need permission. You must bow to the dictator or expect a gunshot. Free will, freedom of expression, speech, religion, political ideology, identity, none. Completely gone. So don't resist it or you will get the death penalty. Have fun, guys. And also, the United Kingdom has its go day, with Americans saving them, because Americans always save Europe. Yeah, that's propaganda, made up by somebody who looks like a fat carrot. Maybe you like him. If you like him, good for you. And let's take shit back. And no, I did not curse. You're hearing stuff. And also maybe I did. With the United Kingdom being liberated, London falls back again. But the terror that had fallen before. But with this, the North, a big offensive happens in South Africa, with them exploding across the front. Taking cities and such. They even managed to make an encirclement, and the South African puppet surrenders, because there's not as much control in it as the other ones, simply because it's so far. As South Africa falls, they cross into Angola and areas. And well, they plan to make nations, with a counteroffensive whooping them back. Yes, whooping them back. The darkness prevails. No, it doesn't. Darkness should die. Darkness. Yes. Yes, darkness. Absolute darkness. But the most important thing, and that's too many filler words, I'll admit it. Will the Italians succeed, or is the fall inevitable now? Bulgaria is on the verge of revolt. They hate Italy. They secretly join the Freedom Pact, will strike so on, whilst Iran, Iraq, and North Yemen struggle. Why do they struggle? Okay, fine, I'll show you why. With an offensive in the North Yemen. With an offensive into... Oh, my fault. With an offensive in the North Yemen, they quickly take a lot of lands, especially here. Why'd I get rid of all the cities in this region? Must have, when I made it, forgot about them. Or didn't see them as important, which they are. With a big chunk of Saudi Arabia falling. But luckily, we know where cities are in this region. Well, North Yemen begins to collapse soon, but let's go to Norway. What happens in Norway? Well, a landing is made in Norway by the Freedom Pact, which basically moves in to do a lot of stuff. Well, I'm getting to about here, which splits this front into two, moving south. Meanwhile, thus at the same time, a landing in Normandy begins. And it is a success, as then they move into the push towards Paris, which they manage to capture Paris. And thus, yes, that's the front line. And while North Yemen falls, and the Freedom Pact takes control of the Gulf. Iran hasn't quite fallen, because the front looks like this. And well, this is supposed to be the same color. And this is a major three fronts. There's three major fronts in this. Well, then they move in from the south to take Sanas and Aden, the port of Aden. And then they do this, collapsing thus the other nation, with Iraq losing many Saudi Arabian cities. And then, into here, they manage to take Riyadh. And while southern Iraq falls, well, this is a major blow, with them taking control of the oil. And well, as the south of France falls, and Italy's alliance loses troops rapidly, down to 30 million from 40 million, while the Freedom Pact has 36 million from 25 million, rapidly growing. The Bulgarian Revolution has over 1 million personnel. And well, the fall of Iran begins, and Iraq, because they fall together. Why do you think they have similar names? No, I'm kidding. And then they move in, quickly taking Tehran. Meanwhile, from the north, a lot of forces move in from Asia as they finally made it to this area. And thus with this area of Iran falls. Even more of Iran falls. Thus Iran and them are out of the war. But Italy, not willing to accept this, marches into their lands. Like this. But the Norway invasion gets even worse. As it, well, goes for more. But there's an Iberian landing. And well, it happens over here, and it moves up quickly, taking multiple cities, and then moving into Madrid. And well, yeah. And well, let's go to the other front, this front. It begins to collapse. as it collapses like this. And the Siberian attack begins in the fall of Africa, as a few areas are landed in. Northern Morocco, in Algeria, which is a northwest offensive, which quickly does this. And then in the central, they quickly seize the Congo. And from the south, they seize what they didn't seize already. With this being the front, and well, Bulgaria revolts now. I know you expected that, but anyways, still great. Still great. And well, Bulgaria has to attack Italy in all fronts. With Bulgaria being a big event as they push in and kick, well, Italy out of Greece. And meanwhile, they also push them out of Anatolia. Not fully, but out of Greek areas of Anatolia. Into the north, they move into Romania quickly, capturing Bucharest and into all of its borders to liberate them all. And thus on this front, it collapses. With landings in Iberia and, well, Norway already having happened. Yeah. And well, the Eastern Front opens back up. And well, thus with the fall of Western Iberia, Nordic nations, and Africa, meanwhile in Eastern Europe, Bulgaria makes a move. And you can see what's about to happen. With this being the new front. With the Nordics being liberated, well, the liberation of Eastern Europe. Ooh. Now that's what I call nice. That's what I call great. And well, the fall of German puppets, fall of France, and Spain and Africa falls now. Why? And to make it very interesting, well, in the south, Spanish troops get punched. Over here, they get punched even harder. Here, somebody goes for a run. And yes, that never really happened like that. But Cairo falls, Somalia falls, well, the Horn falls. Well, Africa starts falling into Spanish Africa. Oof. And because we're on like Eastern Europe, we must do this. Because this fell with Eastern Europe. Thus, with Spain falling, which happens next, well, Spain is chilling, picking flowers maybe, doing some Spain stuff, bullying bulls, who knows what they're doing. And also, who cares? And then, the United Kingdom moves in, and they quickly manage to take more cities in France. Meanwhile, Spain with no capital and its leader dead. And the Catalonians are like, yay! I love Catalonia. We should give them independence. But don't tell Quebec. I don't think they should be allowed independence. Also, don't tell the Albertans or the Hawaiians. I don't think they deserve independence. But don't forget to tell the Syrians and the Kurds you need independence. And well, Spain falls. Yay! Some people are happy. I'm sure people are happy France fell. Crazies. As Germany begins to fall in the north. And well, the German puppets have fallen. And with this, France needs to fall first, though. With the German puppets getting steamrolled by Eastern Europe. And in the south, Yugoslavia gets steamrolled, but not really, they get liberated. And then Hungary gets steamrolled, leading to the liberation of Budapest. And then into Czechia and Slovakia they invade. With this being Italy's current front lines. Well, yeah. This is not a good situation, with the Italian forces staying out of this, managing to hold up at the Alps. As they take out the Netherlands, they take out Czechia, they take out more lands, pushing them all the way to the brink. And well, now in Italy. Well, landing happens in Sicily. The Alps gets invaded and Dalmatia. And these islands. And well, in the south, they move up, taking Naples. From the north, they take more cities. And then they steamroll south towards the taking of Rome, which is horrific. And well, today, May 1st, 1965, Italy has fallen. It is a giant day for the Freedom Pact, but also a bad day, as they realize 150 million were systemically killed in Italy and Germany, 50 million by the Axis in Asia, which was already known. That's 200 million, but also prisoners of war, about 10 million. What? Then with the occupations, how many they killed in the occupations, which was different. That was about 40 million, giving you 240 million dead people. Hell has fallen, but the propaganda begins. The crusade of morality led by the Freedom Pact, out of a place of anger, succeeded, but need freedom. The women aren't stuck serving man and following and having their bodies used by the state. The use of child labor and female domestic workers are not used anymore, but kinda is hidden. The death penalties was used for petty crimes on slaves, rebels, and minorities, and revolts were the only things that killed Italians and other severe crimes. They treat humans like cattle, worse than dogs, worse than pigs, worse than industrial farm chickens. They are so bad, the human fleshed slaves after days of starvation. Meanwhile, the Catholic churches in the Vatican were a museum of fake lies of Catholics being evil. The Pope and some Catholics return to their destroyed homeland by the Axis, but some see those churches brought to burn. While the Bible is 95% burnt and the Torah 99% burnt, the New World Order has woken up. Well, let's go to the peace treaty and let's talk about it. As you can see, you need to go to Europe and Africa. Let's start with Africa. And Africa has an interesting peace treaty. A North African Confederation, Egypt, Sudan. Somehow there's a South Sudan in this timeline. Probably not called that. Defer. There's Ethiopia and Somalia. They're both bigger, have better lands than they do. Then there's a African Federation in the East, an East African Federation. A Congo Federation. This is Zambia, basically what's left of it. This is Angola, South Africa, this area. Nigeria, Cameroon, Central African Republic, Gabon, the West African Union, the Arab African Union, well, not Arab, Muslim African Union, and well, a lot has happened here, but let's go to the Middle East. Well, Pakistan, Afghanistan have greatly increased in size. Oh, there's something missing from the map. Oops. And it's that there's Uzbekistan, which looks like this. Yes, this is the Uzbekistan of the timeline. And Turkmenistan, weird borders. And then Iran, we can see they lost a lot. Then they lost the Arab and Lur lands. Also Azerbaijan stayed. Turkey expanded south and east. with Istanbul being under Bulgarian hands, and well, Anatolia is back under Turkish hands with a Levantine state right here, which includes, well, the Palestine, the Lebanon, and other places. Then this is Iraq. It's occupied because it was a bad guy. Same with Iran, occupied. Now this is the Gulf Union, and it also grabbed a bit of land here to take control of the strait. With Yemen having been occupied, and well, they did grow. North Yemen did grow since the beginning of the series, but they're occupied. Saudi Arabia is back. And now in Europe, let's go to Eastern Europe. With Russia expanding south along with Ukraine, but Russia took more lands. Bulgaria is free. They even took a bit of lands. Hungary, Romania's border was fixed up. Slovakia got bigger. Yugoslavia's back. France is big. We got Portugal, Galicia, Basque, Catalonia. Then we got Germany was completely destroyed with the Netherlands, Hanover, Rhineland, Baden, Silesia, Saxony, and Bavaria. And then in the north, we have what's left of Germany, with this being Prussia. Yes, Prussia barely exists, with Eastern European nations like Poland expanding more to the west. And well, Greece is back, Albania is back, Switzerland is back, Austria is back. A lot has changed, and well, the Baltic Union annexed some lands. And well, then this is Belarus. It's very weird borders, and they want to join Russia. What has changed? Not much. And let's see what is left of the Freedom Pact after the 5th, 1966. Liberation of Europe, Africa, and Asia from Nazi fascist scumbags. Across the world, celebrations. Families pick up pieces of relatives to rejoice the fall of fascism. By the next Sunday, Catholic Mass happens as usual, which hadn't happened since the Axis took over Europe. Though terrorists still support the regime, bomb them regularly, but the Jewish state wanting to make a Jewish state in Israel was refused because the world doesn't want to do stuff that could potentially cause genocide. Because you don't want to displace people, because, well, that's a bad idea. And well, and then, also, 1,500 years ago, yeah, that doesn't make it better. Good claim. 1970, life has become better with Europeans celebrating, crushing, I guess rebels are celebrating, rebels and buildings. Oh yeah, the rebels are celebrated, and their statues are put up to remember the good of the fallen revolution. By 1980, Europe has been restored. Along with Africa and the Middle East, millions are safe again. The terror groups are down from 1 million to 1,000 men within 15 years. No, 3,000 men within 15 years of Europe's salvation. The religious people are safe. Slaves are now workers with lots of owned. And there are no more domestic slaves. Well, in principle. All children got educated now. No child labor. The fall of the Mediterranean Alliance by the Freedom Pact has been a big success. Costly in human life and materials. But everyone is out of the darkness. This light has ripped across the sky. There is a lot of symbols used in this series and details that took information basically kind of out of books, but not really. Just the idea. And well, it built a big plot. And well, on Thursday, we will return to our alternate future of the world series. Does World War III start now? Also, stay in tune for Saturday when we dive into our Eastern victory in World War III. Does the Sino-Russia alliance end or not? On Monday, we will go look at a scenario where a man forms an empire. How will they do this? Also, we are at about 3,000 subscribers, which is 1,400 away from our goal. Please subscribe, and there will be a subscriber special when we get there. Please like and comment your thoughts, theories on the channel, or leave a thought about what you think I was pointing at in the series. And well, also make sure to click on a video above and press the notification bell so you can get notified of my next updates. And Wild Mapper out, but not until you click subscribe or another of my videos.